We say we want children, but what if the reason is not love or joy or even family? What if the truth is deeper, something we rarely admit to ourselves? This is not just about biology. This is about meaning, mortality, and the stories we tell to make sense of life. In the last video, we talked about the same topic, why people want children, but from a psychological view. This video takes a different approach. It looks at the topic from the philosophy side. While psychology explains what we feel, why we feel it, and how emotions, fear, and social norms shape our wants, philosophy goes further. It asks if those thoughts and feelings make sense and whether we should rethink them. In this video, we explore 4 philosophical views that ask, what does it mean to create life in a world where nothing lasts? 1. Existentialism. Are we following biology or making a choice? Existentialism is about personal freedom and responsibility. It says life has no built-in purpose. We have to choose what matters and live honestly with that choice. In our previous video on the psychological truth behind wanting children, the first reason was biological instinct. This is the idea that we are naturally wired to have children. It feels automatic, like part of our design. Existentialism asks what we do with the freedom to choose and whether we are honest about our reasons. Jean-Paul Sartre, a French philosopher, believed life has no pre-written purpose. There's no rulebook, no fixed path. We are free, and that freedom brings the responsibility to create our own meaning. But freedom can feel overwhelming. Sartre said many people fall into what he called bad faith. This means pretending we have no choice because it feels easier. Instead of asking what we truly want, we follow the script. Go to school, get married, have kids. Not because we chose these things, but because they are expected. So when someone says, I want children because that's what people do, existentialism asks if that is a real choice or a way to avoid uncertainty. Albert Camus, another French philosopher, wrote about the absurd. This is the conflict between our search for meaning and a silent universe. For him, creating life might be an act of hope or an illusion that helps us avoid the unknown. Psychology says we want children because it feels natural. Existentialism says nothing is natural unless we choose it freely. Wanting children is not wrong. It can be beautiful and meaningful. But existentialism asks us to be honest. Are we creating life out of love or because we fear living without a clear role? 2. Do we want children or immortality? The second reason in the previous video was fear of death, explained through terror management theory. It said having children might protect us from the fear of being forgotten. Philosophy takes this further. It does not just say we fear death. It asks if we are trying to escape it, not with medicine, but with something symbolic. Do we want children because we love them, or because we hope they will carry a part of us into the future? Are we hoping we can live on through them? This quiet question is behind many of our choices. Martin Heidegger, a German philosopher, wrote about our awareness of death. In his book Being in Time, he said this awareness shapes how we live and what we choose, even the choice to have children. Creating life might be one way we try to respond to death by leaving something of ourselves behind. Ernest Becker, an American thinker, wrote The Denial of Death. He said many of our choices are immortality projects. These are things we do to feel like we last beyond death, such as through art, work, or family. Having children, he argued, is one way we try to fight the fear of disappearing. Other thinkers like Simone de Beauvoir, Sartre, and Camus also explored this idea. They believed creating life can feel like pushing back against time. In this view, children are not just family. They are a fragile answer to mortality. 3. The hard question about parenthood. The third psychological reason we explored was the need for love and connection. Abraham Maslow, an American psychologist, placed love and belonging in the third level of his hierarchy of needs, right after physiological and safety needs. Many people see children as the answer, a bond that brings trust and purpose. Philosophy asks a harder question. Is wanting love between two people enough to create a new life? Some philosophers say no. Arthur Schopenhauer was a German philosopher who never married or had children because he believed life is full of suffering. For him, creating life means giving someone pain and struggle without their consent. This idea became the base for antinatalism, a view that questions whether creating life is right. David Benatar, a South African philosopher, agrees. In his book Better Never to Have Been, he argues that even a good life has pain. Since those who never exist feel no pain, it may be kinder never to be born. This view challenges the belief that love is enough. What if the emotional connection we want is more about us than about what the child needs? Antinatalism does not accuse. It asks us to think. Are we creating life for them or for us? 4. The weight of social pressure. The fourth reason from the psychological perspective was social pressure. This is the feeling that having children is part of life's checklist. Many people want to keep up with others, study, work, marry, have kids. It looks like success. Philosophy asks a harder question. Should we create life just to meet expectations? Is it fair to bring someone into the world only because we fear being left out, or perhaps left behind by strangers whose names we do not even know? Thinkers warned against this. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, an 18th century philosopher, spoke against blind conformity. Søren Kierkegaard, a 19th century Danish philosopher, warned about living for the crowd. And Simone de Beauvoir, a French existentialist philosopher, wrote about how culture pushes people, especially women, into roles they never chose. A child is not a status symbol. A child is a person who will face joy and pain. Are we ready for that responsibility? Or are we letting comparison decide? This view reminds us that social approval should never come at the cost of creating another life.
Bonus: Philosophies that value parenthood. You might feel this video sounded negative. That is fair, because philosophy often begins by questioning even our most rational decisions. But not all philosophers think having children is wrong. Some regard it as noble and profoundly meaningful. Aristotle. Aristotle, an ancient Greek philosopher and one of history's most influential thinkers, saw family as an essential part of living well. His idea of eudaimonia, which means human flourishing, was about more than personal happiness. It included living with virtue and contributing to the good of the community. For Aristotle, raising children was one of the clearest ways to practice those virtues in real life. Parenthood was not just a private choice. It was a social and moral role that helped sustain a strong, ethical society and ensure the continuity of values across generations. Confucius. Confucius, a Chinese philosopher and teacher whose ideas shaped much of East Asian thought for centuries, saw family as the heart of social order and harmony. He taught that strong family bonds form the base of a stable society, and that these ties teach values such as respect and duty. For Confucius, having children was not only natural but also a moral obligation. It was a way to keep care, respect, and responsibility alive across generations. Parenthood ensured that virtues like loyalty, kindness, and respect for elders were passed on, maintaining balance in both family life and the wider community. Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant, an 18th century German philosopher famous for shaping modern ethics and moral philosophy, also believed family life held deep significance. In his view, parenting was not only a personal decision, but a duty grounded in reason and morality. He argued that raising children is essential because it prepares the next generation to be rational, ethical, and responsible human beings. For Kant, this was not simply about love or family ties. It was about ensuring the moral progress of society itself. Thomas Aquinas. Another philosopher who strongly supported having children is Thomas Aquinas. He was a 13th century Italian philosopher and theologian, one of the most important thinkers in medieval Europe. Aquinas believed in natural law, the idea that moral principles come from both human nature and divine order. For him, procreation was not just a physical act, but a moral one, deeply connected to human purpose. He saw having children as one of the primary purposes of marriage, and as part of fulfilling a God-given duty. In Aquinas' view, creating life helped maintain not only family ties, but the moral and social order of the world, making parenthood an essential role in both spiritual and societal harmony. These views show that when parenthood is a free and thoughtful choice, it can be an act of love and purpose. Philosophy does not say parenting is wrong. It asks us to think about why we choose it and what values guide that choice. In the end, it all comes down to your own choice. Psychology gave us reasons like nature, fear, love, and social pressure. Philosophy gave us questions to dig deeper and ask if those reasons are truly rational. This video is not here to tell you what to believe or what to do. It is about helping you understand why you think the way you think, and encouraging you to keep reflecting on those thoughts to see if they still make sense. Freedom is not just doing what feels right in the moment. Freedom means choosing with awareness, and that awareness is what makes the choice truly yours. If you enjoy this kind of reflection, where psychology meets philosophy and human behavior becomes something we think about, thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Subscribe to Thought 101. We do not tell you what to believe. We simply ask, have you ever wondered? Thank you for spending this time with us. See you in the next video.